Hey loves, welcome to Inner Love Messages. I'm Sarah, and if you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. Now, let's get into tonight's message. This is a no-contact message from your person, giving us insight into their current feelings, thoughts, and how they perceive you. We'll uncover the most important things they want you to know about your connection, as well as their emotional and mental state right now. I'll be pulling from this deck, so let's see what messages come through. The first card to reveal itself is Sleepless Nights. A strikingly intense energy radiates from it. There's an undeniable presence of strong masculine energy here, one that seems deeply unsettled, as though rest is just out of reach no matter how hard they try to find it. Their soul is restless, burdened by something they can no longer ignore. It's as if an invisible weight presses down on them, making it impossible to shake this overwhelming feeling. Something needs to be said, something they've held back for too long, and now it's clawing at them, demanding to be released. Yet despite the urgency in their heart, there seems to be an invisible force standing between you two. A barrier, whether it be fear, circumstances, or unspoken words, has kept them from stepping forward. It's as if the universe itself has orchestrated this moment, urging them to confront what they've spent so much time suppressing. No matter how much they attempt to push it down, to silence the voice in their mind telling them to speak, they can't escape it anymore. It lingers in their thoughts, in their dreams, and in the spaces where they once found peace. This energy is raw and vulnerable. They are caught in a state of constant worry, replaying past interactions in their mind, analyzing every detail, every word spoken and unspoken. There's deep introspection happening here, questions they are asking themselves over and over again. Did I do the right thing? Did I make a mistake? How does she feel? What if I lost her for good? Regret intertwines with uncertainty, and in many ways, it feels like they are facing their own reflection for the first time in a long time. They know they've sent mixed signals. They know they haven't always been as honest or forthcoming as they should have been. And now, the realization that they might have unintentionally created distance between you is weighing on them like an unbearable burden. Divine Feminine, I sense that you felt this energy long before they were willing to admit it to themselves. Maybe you've even confronted them, gently asking for clarity, seeking truth beyond the surface. But their response? It likely left you with more questions than answers. It's as if their words said one thing, but their energy spoke another. They may have downplayed their emotions, avoided eye contact, or redirected the conversation, but you weren't fooled. Your intuition, sharp as ever, picked up on the resistance within them, the hesitancy, the fear, the inner battle they're waging against themselves. And what is this resistance? It stems from a place of deep-rooted fear. Fear of being vulnerable, fear of being truly seen, fear of revealing a truth they never thought they'd have to share. This isn't just about you. It's about them, their past, their wounds, the parts of themselves they've tried to keep hidden. They convinced themselves that if they buried it deep enough, if they masked it well enough, they could control it. But the heart doesn't abide by logic, and no amount of avoidance can change the fact that what they're holding back is meant to come to light. Now, they find themselves at a crossroads. Their heart is screaming for them to let go of the facade, to step forward with honesty and authenticity, but their mind, it's filled with doubt, caution, and the temptation to retreat into the safety of silence. If they had it their way, they might choose to keep avoiding it indefinitely, but something about this moment feels different. The energy surrounding them suggests that they no longer have that luxury. The universe has placed them in a position where they must face this, face you, and decide whether they will embrace the truth or continue living in the shadow of what they refuse to acknowledge. And the truth, it's something they should have told you long ago, something that, in their heart, they know you deserve to hear without ever having to ask. It's deeply personal to them, intricately woven into their journey, but now, it has bled into your connection, affecting the energy between you in ways they never anticipated. The sleepless nights will continue until they make a choice. The restlessness will remain until they decide to step forward, to be honest, to be vulnerable. Whether they gather the courage to do so is yet to be seen, but one thing is clear: the universe won't let them escape this any longer. If you're wondering what's truly on their mind, know that their thoughts are entirely consumed by you and the unspoken truth they are struggling to reveal. There is an undeniable tension within them, a restrictive energy that suggests they are holding themselves back. It's as if they are caught in a battle with their own limitations, hesitating to break free from the weight of their unspoken words. They are repressing something significant, practicing a form of emotional restraint that is not only affecting them internally, but also influencing the way they communicate and show up in your connection. You may sense this restriction in subtle ways. Perhaps you've been asking questions, trying to probe deeper, seeking clarity. But beneath those questions, there may be a growing frustration, a feeling of resentment, particularly from the divine feminine's perspective. There's an unspoken belief that this shouldn't be something you have to ask about. Rather, it should be something they willingly and openly express. This silent expectation, whether conscious or not, creates an emotional gap between you. The masculine energy in this situation feels particularly stoic, someone who might appear calm, detached, or even indifferent on the surface. But don't be fooled by the exterior. This internal struggle is taking its toll. It may not be evident in their daily life, especially since they likely keep themselves busy, filling their hours with distractions to avoid confronting what's truly on their heart. They might be moving through their routine as if everything is fine, but the truth is, when the distractions fade and the night sets in, that's when the weight of their emotions becomes unbearable. It's in those quiet moments, when the world slows down, that their mind is entirely preoccupied with you and the words they have yet to say. Their soul is pushing them toward a moment of truth, urging them to step beyond their self-imposed limitations and speak from the heart. And if you've been feeling uneasy, perhaps struggling with restless sleep, tossing and turning without understanding why, it's likely because their energy is directly impacting yours. The intensity of their unspoken thoughts is rippling through your connection, making it almost impossible to ignore. Even if they haven't reached out, even if they seem distant, there is an undeniable pull between you, a silent but powerful force drawing them toward the inevitable moment of revelation. This isn't just a passing thought for them. It's a profound internal battle, and while it may seem like you are the one waiting, longing for answers, in truth, they are just as affected, if not more so. They are grappling with emotions they've held back for far too long, and sooner or later, the truth they've been repressing will have to come to light. The next message that comes through is, "I owe you an apology." Those words carry a weight that cannot be ignored. This is not just a simple acknowledgement of wrongdoing. It is a realization, a deep understanding that the person who once stood before you had no idea what they were stepping into when they crossed paths with you. Divine Feminine. They underestimated you, not in a way that belittles your worth, but in a way that speaks to their own lack of awareness. They were unprepared for your energy, for your depth, for the intensity of the connection that was forming between you. And because they did not know how to handle it, they reacted in a way that caused confusion, and perhaps even pain. This is someone who, in hindsight, recognizes that they mishandled the connection. Their actions were not necessarily malicious, but they were careless, driven by fear, uncertainty, or even their own emotional wounds that they had yet to face. To you, everything may have seemed promising, natural, and filled with potential. Then suddenly, without clear warning, something shifted. They pulled away, acted in ways that contradicted their previous words and behavior, or simply disappeared, leaving you with more questions than answers. It left you wondering what went wrong, why everything seemed to unravel without a logical reason. And now, as they reflect on the past, they are beginning to understand the gravity of what they did. The energy coming through is filled with deep remorse. This is someone who cannot escape the weight of their conscience. They may have tried to move forward, to convince themselves that their actions were justified, but something within them will not let it go. It lingers in their mind, in their heart, in their soul. They now recognize that you did not deserve the way they treated you, nor the silence, the confusion, or the abruptness of their actions. At the time, they may not have fully considered how it would affect you. They may have believed they were protecting themselves, doing what was necessary for their own emotional state or avoiding a difficult conversation. But now, they see it clearly. They see the pain they caused, the way their behavior contradicted the very essence of what they may have once promised you. For those divine feminines who are still seeking clarity, who have replayed the events in their mind trying to piece together an explanation, this message is for you. It is not just about what happened, but about the recognition that you deserved better. You deserved honesty, openness, and the chance to understand what was going on. Instead, they made a choice for you without giving you the opportunity to be part of that decision. They withdrew, avoided, or dismissed the depth of what you shared. And that is what still lingers. Not just the separation itself, but the way in which it happened. What is most important to understand is that their regret is real. This is not an empty apology or an attempt to soothe their own guilt without true accountability. This is someone who now sees the truth of their own actions and feels compelled to make amends. They may not yet know how to reach out, or if they even have the right to, but their soul is restless, pushing them towards some form of resolution. They may be experiencing dreams, signs, or an unshakable feeling that they need to correct what went wrong. Whether or not this apology comes through in the physical realm, the energy is undeniable. The lesson here is not just for them, but for you as well. It is a reminder that your energy is powerful, that your presence is transformative, and that those who cross your path are forever changed, even if they do not realize it at first. The divine feminine does not chase, nor does she beg for clarity that should have been given freely. You were always worthy of honesty, of respect, and of being treated with care, and now, they finally see that. This situation is far more complex than it may initially seem. While it could have simply been a case of them running away or ghosting, there's something deeper at play here. Yes, this could have faded naturally over time, yet there's an undeniable sense that the full truth was never revealed to you. There are lingering questions, unspoken words, and unresolved emotions that refuse to dissipate. Something about this connection remains unfinished, and it's not just you who feels it, your person does too. They might have convinced themselves that they could walk away, that they could bury this under the weight of their daily routine, but their soul will not allow them to rest until they set things right. There is an overwhelming sense of urgency within them, a need to make amends, to explain what was left unsaid. You may wonder if they think about you, if this still affects them, and the truth is, it does. This situation has had a profound impact on them, perhaps more than they are even willing to admit to themselves. One of the clearest signs of this is how much it disrupts their sleep. During the day, they manage to keep themselves occupied, going through the motions, suppressing the thoughts that creep in. But when night falls and there are no distractions left, the weight of it all comes crashing down on them. They toss and turn, replaying memories, questioning their choices, and feeling the undeniable pull of what was left unresolved. There may have been a time when they dreamed of you, when your presence in their subconscious brought comfort, but now that comfort has been replaced by restlessness. The absence of closure haunts them, keeping them wide awake. For you, divine feminine, this has also been a painful journey. Perhaps, at first, you tried to minimize it, brushing it off as something insignificant. You told yourself you would move on, that it didn't affect you as much as it actually did. But deep within, the truth lingered. This connection left an imprint on your heart, and no matter how much you tried to suppress it, it found a way to surface. Recently, you may have started acknowledging that pain, allowing yourself to feel it, to process it, and in doing so, something has shifted. That shift in your energy is now being picked up by your person. As you release, as you clear your emotional space, they are suddenly feeling the need to do the same. This is why they are being hit so hard with these emotions out of nowhere, because the energetic cord between you is still strong, still very much alive. What makes this situation even more significant is that from the very beginning, this masculine energy was drawn to you in a way that felt almost inevitable. They sought you out. When they first crossed paths with you, it wasn't by chance. There was an instant pull, a knowing. They wanted you, they chose you, and that decision was made long before either of you realized its significance. This is precisely why their actions feel so contradictory now, why their remorse is so heavy. They were the ones who initiated this, who pursued you, who felt that undeniable attraction before anything else even unfolded. The connection was magnetic, electric. Before they even had the chance to understand you on a deeper level, they were captivated by your presence, by your essence, and what's even more remarkable is that their perception of you hasn't changed. Time has passed, circumstances have shifted, yet the way they saw you then is the way they still see you now. There's something rare about your energy, something they have not been able to find anywhere else. It drew them in then, and even now, despite everything, it still holds them. This is not just a fleeting connection, not something that can simply be forgotten or brushed aside. There is a karmic weight to this, a lesson that must be learned, and a resolution that is waiting to unfold. Whether or not they take action, whether or not they find the courage to confront what has been left unsaid, one thing remains certain. This is not over. They may have done or said things simply to be close to you, drawn in by the sheer force of your presence. It wasn't just physical attraction or fleeting interest, it was something far more profound. The energy you carry, the divine feminine essence that radiates from you, is something people don't just see or hear, they feel it. It's intoxicating, mesmerizing, and for many, overwhelming. It lingers in the mind, embedding itself in memories long after the moment has passed. Whether this connection unfolded quickly, burned with an undeniable passion, or even became something deeply intimate, the chemistry between you was never in question. It was real, raw, and electric. But now, as they sit with the silence that has grown between you, they are faced with a gnawing sense of regret that refuses to be ignored. The weight of their actions, or perhaps their inaction, settles heavily on their chest, making it difficult to move forward without looking back. They replay moments over and over in their mind, analyzing every word spoken, every decision made, and every opportunity lost. A part of them is ashamed, even embarrassed by the way they handled things. They wish they had been more careful, more present, more aware of what they had when they had it. Now in hindsight, they see it all too clearly. What's unmistakable is their growing need to make things right, or at the very least, to be heard. They long for the chance to explain themselves, not as an excuse, but as a confession. They know you deserved more. More honesty, more clarity, more respect. And yet, when the time came to truly show up for you, something held them back. Perhaps it was fear of vulnerability, of commitment, of not being enough. Perhaps it was ego or pride or an inability to confront their own emotions in real time. Whatever it was, they are now left with the painful realization that their absence may have spoken louder than any words they could have said. You might have interpreted their withdrawal as indifference, as a lack of care, and in many ways, their silence may have felt like a rejection, but beneath the surface, there was never a lack of feeling. If anything, there was too much feeling. Too much intensity for them to handle. They pushed it away, convinced themselves they could move on, suppress or distract. But feelings like these don't simply fade, they resurface, often at the most unexpected times with a force that demands to be acknowledged. Right now, there is an urgency in their energy, a restless need to reach out, to bridge the gap between you. The words they've been suppressing are at the brink of spilling over, and it wouldn't be surprising if they reached out soon, possibly in a flurry of messages or a sudden, unexpected confession. They have likely debated this moment for a long time, hesitating, unsure of how to say what needs to be said, but at this point, the burden of unspoken emotions has become too heavy to carry. They want you to know that they do care, more than they ever let on, more than they ever admitted, even to themselves. And while it may be too late to undo the past, their heart aches for a chance to rewrite the ending, or at the very least to offer you the truth. Whether or not you choose to respond, whether or not you still have space for them in your life, they will finally do what they should have done long ago: speak from the heart. Now, looking at the next message, you don't know the real me. Those words carry a weight heavier than they seem at first glance. They hint at an internal struggle, a concealed truth, and perhaps even a fear of being truly seen. Deep down, you may have already sensed that something was amiss, that there was an inconsistency in their energy. At times, they felt familiar, aligned with you in ways that made the connection seem faded. Yet, in other moments, there was a lingering feeling that something wasn't quite right, that there was more to them than what they were willing to reveal. If you were to look into their life now, you might see someone who appears entirely different from the person they were when they first met you. It's as if they are living a double life, torn between the version of themselves they presented to you and the one they embody when you're not around. There's a duality in their existence, a contradiction that they themselves may struggle to reconcile, and oddly enough, this conflict brings up the word spiritual. You, divine feminine, are not just any ordinary soul. You are deeply connected to the spiritual realm. You move through life with a sense of purpose, guided by intuition, wisdom, and an inner knowing that surpasses logic. Your essence is magnetic, your presence undeniable. When they approached you, they likely did so with the same energy they've used in past connections, expecting things to unfold as they always have. But with you, it was different. You aren't someone who can be easily deceived or swayed by charm alone. You see beyond facades, beyond surface-level attraction, and that, in itself, is both intimidating and awakening to them. From the moment they met you, there was something about your energy that shook them, something that forced them to confront parts of themselves they had long buried or ignored. They were drawn to you, not just because of your external beauty, which is undeniable, but because of the depth that radiates from within you. You carry an aura of wisdom, a divine presence that makes people feel seen in ways they may not have experienced before. And for someone who has spent so much time wearing different masks, that level of authenticity is both mesmerizing and terrifying. You live by principles that are not dictated by societal norms but by something far greater: your spiritual beliefs, your inner truth. Your connection with the universe is evident in the way you carry yourself, the way you interact with the world, and the way you protect your energy. You are not someone who engages in superficial connection. You require depth, honesty, and emotional resonance. This person, however, may not have been ready for that level of vulnerability. They may have approached you with a version of themselves that they believed would resonate with you, one that mirrored your energy in an attempt to blend into your world. But energy never lies. Over time, as conversations deepened and emotions intensified, the cracks began to show. The effortless mirroring could no longer sustain itself, and the truth of their inner conflict started seeping through. They are caught between two identities: the person they want to be, the one they see reflected in your eyes, and the person they have been for so long. And now, standing at this crossroads, they are faced with a choice: to continue hiding behind the mask or to step into the light of their truth. Perhaps that is why they say, "You don't know the real me." Because deep down, they wonder if even they truly know themselves. There is a profound internal conflict within this person as they navigate the weight of a double life that has left them feeling fragmented and unfulfilled. They have remained tethered to lower vibrational energies, perhaps influences, habits, or connections they knew you wouldn't approve of. Whether out of fear, insecurity, or a desire to be accepted, they chose to present a version of themselves they believed would be more palatable to you. Yet deep down, they feared that if you had known the full extent of their reality from the very beginning, you might have distanced yourself, unwilling to engage with someone who wasn't fully aligned with your energy. Your presence in their life acted as a catalyst, awakening something within them that they hadn't anticipated. Through you, they glimpsed a different way of being, one that resonated on a higher frequency, filled with integrity, clarity, and emotional depth. This was something they weren't fully prepared for, as it starkly contrasted with the world they had been immersed in. Once they experienced that shift, however, they found themselves torn, unable to reconcile their past and present selves. They were suddenly standing at a crossroads between the comfort of familiarity and the unknown path of transformation. The struggle between these two realities left them feeling unsteady, caught between wanting to elevate themselves and being pulled back by the patterns they had long been accustomed to. Now, in the wake of their choices, they find themselves drowning in deep regret. They are haunted by the realization that they weren't entirely truthful, not only with you, but with themselves. The weight of their dishonesty keeps them awake at night, replaying every moment where they could have been more transparent. They recognize now that they should have given you the opportunity to make an informed choice about whether you wanted to continue the connection, rather than making that decision for you by concealing parts of themselves. This realization is agonizing for them because, in hindsight, they understand that you valued honesty and authenticity above all else. Had they been upfront, perhaps things would have unfolded differently. But now, the damage is done, and they are left grappling with the consequences of their own deception. You may have sensed this struggle all along. There were likely moments when they seemed deeply in sync with you, aligning effortlessly with your energy, only for something to surface that made you question their authenticity. Their energy was inconsistent, sometimes matching your frequency and other times slipping into a space that felt out of alignment. You may have felt this push and pull, as if they were caught between two opposing forces. This inconsistency wasn't just confusing for you, it was a reflection of their own inner turmoil. They were desperately trying to meet you at your level, but they were also battling the reality of where they truly stood. Right now, they find themselves in an extremely vulnerable space, struggling to come to terms with their truth. There is a deep sense of discomfort as they confront their own shortcomings, and even a layer of embarrassment because they see you as someone of high value, someone who embodies authenticity effortlessly. They may perceive you as someone who naturally exists in a space of clarity, self-awareness, and alignment, while they have been caught in a web of pretense and uncertainty. They wanted so badly to rise to your level, but now they realize that sustaining such a vibration requires genuine transformation, not just a temporary facade. Despite their regrets, there is still an unspoken yearning within them, a longing to somehow find their way back to a version of themselves that is truly worthy of the connection they once shared with you. However, the path forward is unclear, and they are left questioning whether they have the strength, courage, and commitment to undergo the inner work necessary to truly meet you where you are. The most profound challenge they are facing right now is not simply reaching a higher level of self-awareness or growth, but learning how to sustain it. Transformation is never a singular event. It is an ongoing process that demands consistency, discipline, and emotional resilience. While your presence may have been the catalyst for their awakening, a tangible reminder of what they have been striving toward, they are now confronted with the reality that true change requires more than just inspiration. It demands commitment, integration, and above all, the ability to face themselves honestly. At this moment, they are deeply aware that something stands between you. It's an invisible barrier, yet undeniably real, one they have come to recognize as a reflection of their own unresolved emotions and internal conflicts. The weight of their unhealed wounds and lingering fears has created a divide, and they know that until they confront these aspects of themselves, true alignment with you will remain out of reach. Their next message to you is raw and revealing. Please don't judge me. These words are not spoken lightly. They stem from a place of vulnerability, fear, and self-doubt. The truth is, they are not only afraid of being judged by you, they are battling their own judgment. The self-criticism, the shame, the regret. These emotions are swirling within them, making it difficult to see themselves clearly. They wonder if things would have been different had they been honest with you from the start. They question whether, if you had known the full truth of their struggles, you would have chosen to stay or walk away. This uncertainty is tormenting them, causing them to replay past moments and interactions in their mind, searching for answers, seeking closure they have yet to give themselves. There may have been a recent moment of tension between you, a misunderstanding, a conflict, or even silence that has widened the gap. But at the core of it all, the true battle is within them. They are grappling with their own self-image, struggling to reconcile who they are with who they want to become. It is not easy for them to acknowledge that they are not yet the person they aspire to be. The weight of their own expectations, combined with the fear of disappointing you, is overwhelming. The energy of the divine feminine in this dynamic carries a striking clarity and strength. You're someone who has dedicated yourself to your own path. Even beyond this connection, you move through life with intention, choosing carefully the energy you allow into your space. You are unwavering in your self-respect and in your understanding of your worth. This is something they admire, even if it intimidates them. They see the way you hold yourself accountable, the way you demand authenticity and emotional honesty, not just from others, but from yourself. And deep down, they know they have not yet met that standard within themselves. This is why their plea, "Please don't judge me," is so layered. On the surface, it sounds like a simple request for understanding, but beneath it lies a desperate hope that you might still see something in them worth believing in, despite their struggles. More than anything, they are afraid of being seen as unworthy, not just by you, but by their own reflection. They are projecting this fear outward, fearing your judgment, when in reality, they are drowning in their own self-judgment. The path ahead for them is not about earning your forgiveness or proving themselves to you. It is about facing their own truth, healing what remains unhealed, and learning how to stand firmly in their own growth. Whether they will rise to the challenge or retreat into their fears is a choice only they can make. But one thing remains certain: your presence in their life has already left a mark, and the journey toward true alignment, whether together or apart, is now one they cannot ignore. What truly stands out in this situation is the undeniable fact that you, as the divine feminine, were never given the opportunity to make a conscious choice. From the very beginning, this person withheld the truth, failing to be upfront about their circumstances, intentions, or feelings. They made a decision for both of you without ever consulting you, without allowing you the autonomy to determine whether or not you wanted to engage with them on your own terms. Different people have different perspectives, varying levels of awareness, and unique thresholds for what they consider significant or problematic. What they saw as an overwhelming issue may not have been the same for you, but they never gave you the chance to decide for yourself. This is, undeniably, a moment of deep vulnerability for them. They fear judgment, rejection, and exposure, but at the same time, you're not even in a space of passing judgment. What you crave, what you deserve, is simply the truth, clarity, honesty, the ability to understand the reality of the situation and choose accordingly. But instead of being transparent, they operated from a place of fear of losing you, fear of not measuring up, fear of revealing parts of themselves they hadn't fully confronted. And yet, despite their hesitations, one thing is certain: you're rare. This is not just something I sense, this is exactly how they perceive you. The words that come through are, "You changed my life." It may sound like an exaggeration, but to them, it is nothing short of the truth. From the very moment they encountered you, there was an undeniable shift in their energy. Even if you were in a crowd, You stood out effortlessly, as if the universe had cast a spotlight upon you. It may have started with a physical attraction, something about your presence, your aura, the way you carried yourself. But once they got to know you, everything changed. This person, embodying a strong masculine energy, may have been accustomed to a particular type of dynamic when it came to feminine energy. Perhaps they were used to games, to surface-level connections, to relationships that operated on a predictable and familiar script. But you didn't fit into that mold. You didn't abide by the unspoken rules they had come to expect. You live with authenticity, with depth, with a sense of purpose that demands truth and alignment. And the more they spoke to you, the more they realized that their usual approach wouldn't work. They had to step up. They had to meet you at a higher level, one they weren't sure they could reach. So they did what many do when faced with someone extraordinary. They tried to present themselves as more, as better, as someone who could match your energy. But the reality is, they still carried wounds, unhealed parts of themselves that they had yet to fully address. Instead of showing those wounds, instead of trusting that you would see them and accept them anyway, they buried them. They pushed them aside and attempted to project an image they thought would impress you, one they thought would make them worthy of you. But the truth has a way of surfacing, and in their attempt to appear ready, they inadvertently distanced themselves from authenticity, the very thing that drew them to you in the first place. Now, as they reflect, they see just how rare your energy truly is. They recognize that this connection was not something fleeting, not something easily replaced. In fact, they may be grappling with the realization that they might never find something like this again. And that's precisely why they approached you the way they did. Why they tried to hold on to you, even if it meant withholding parts of themselves. Yet, at the same time, your unwavering authenticity may have been the very thing that created distance between you. You exist in truth, in alignment, in a space where games and illusions hold no place. And sometimes, masculine energy, especially when unhealed, struggles with that level of transparency. It may come off as detachment, as indifference, as emotional distance, but that's not the full story. They do care. More than they can express, but the words to articulate their emotions don't always come easily. There's embarrassment here. Perhaps even shame, because imagine discovering someone who feels like a once-in-a-lifetime connection only to believe, deep down, that they may never be enough to truly deserve it. It's as if an undeniable force is pulling them toward you, an energy so strong that they can no longer ignore it. From the very beginning, they felt compelled to present themselves in the best possible light, wanting nothing more than to be someone you would admire, respect, and desire. However, in their effort to meet your perceived expectations, they failed to show up as their most authentic self. They masked their insecurities, suppressed their doubts, and did everything they could to hold on to you because the thought of losing access to your presence was something they simply couldn't bear. Yet beneath the surface, they weren't truly ready for the depth of connection that was unfolding. The chemistry was undeniable, intense and electrifying, but the moment things began to deepen, fear crept in. It wasn't just the fear of vulnerability, it was the realization that they would have to evolve, to grow, to show up in a way they had never done before. And rather than expressing these internal struggles to you, they chose to retreat. Whether it was through avoidance, emotional withdrawal, or even self-sabotaging behaviors, they pulled back. Not because they didn't care, but because they were overwhelmed by the magnitude of what they felt. Now, however, their soul refuses to let them rest. The emotions they once tried to suppress are now rising to the surface, demanding to be acknowledged. Sleepless nights, a restless mind, and an undeniable pull towards you are all signs that they are being confronted with the truth they once tried to ignore. They know that they owe you honesty, not just for your sake, but for their own growth as well. They are beginning to understand that real connection cannot be built on half-truths or avoidance. It requires vulnerability, authenticity, and a willingness to face one's own fears. This moment carries immense potential for healing, not just for them, but for both of you. The bond you share is not one that can be easily forgotten or dismissed. Even if words were never spoken aloud, even if distance has grown between you, the energy of your connection lingers. If you've been feeling a deep sense of emotion, a sudden wave of nostalgia, or an unexplainable pull toward them, it's likely because you are picking up on what they are going through. This is not just their journey, it's something that has affected you both on a profound level. When they first met you, they saw something in you that they hadn't encountered before. Something rare, something magnetic, something that made them want to be better. Without even realizing it, they attempted to mirror your energy, to rise to your level, to become the version of themselves that they thought would be worthy of you. But the unhealed parts of them couldn't stay hidden forever. Over time, those wounds, fears, and doubts surfaced, creating friction, distance, and confusion. And now as they sit in reflection, they are beginning to recognize where they went wrong. The question that remains is whether they will choose to step forward with honesty and accountability, or whether fear will hold them back once again. What is undeniable, however, is that this connection has forced them to confront themselves in a way they never expected. Whether they express it to you or not, they are thinking about how to fix things, how to make amends, how to show up in the way they should have from the start. And if you are feeling their energy, if their presence lingers in your thoughts, it is not just coincidence. It is a testament to the depth of what exists between you. This person is deeply conflicted, caught between a desire to express their emotions and a paralyzing fear of vulnerability. They genuinely don't want to be judged, and the weight of their own emotions is pressing down on them more than they ever anticipated. There's a sense of embarrassment, not because they lack feelings, but because those feelings run so deep that they leave them feeling exposed. They wanted so badly to impress you, to be seen in a certain light, and now they realize that they may have fumbled in the process. The thought of losing the rare energy you brought into their life is something they can't shake. It lingers in their mind, creating an emotional turbulence they never expected to experience. They've met other people before, perhaps even thought they had strong connections in the past. But something about you is undeniably different. You feel irreplaceable to them, and that realization is both breathtaking and terrifying. It's forcing them to look at their own patterns, their fears, and the way they've approached relationships up until now. Before meeting you, they may have been operating from a space of complacency, viewing connections through a surface-level lens. But you, your energy, your presence, changed that. Suddenly, they were faced with something real, something profound, and it shook them to their core. That's why they've been distant. It's not a lack of feeling. In fact, it's the overwhelming depth of their emotions that has kept them at arm's length. They needed time to process, to come to terms with what you mean to them, but their soul won't let them stay silent forever. There's a strong pull urging them to step forward, to speak their truth, to finally explain everything they've been holding back. The need for honesty is becoming impossible to ignore, and they are realizing that avoiding this conversation only prolongs their own inner turmoil. There is someone in your life who has incredibly deep romantic feelings for you, so deep that you might not even grasp the full extent of them. These emotions are not just fleeting thoughts or momentary attractions. They are powerful, all-consuming feelings that influence nearly every aspect of their life. They think about you constantly, whether they admit it or not. They replay past conversations, analyzing every word. They wonder how you're feeling, what you're thinking. If you still sense the connection they do, their heart is guiding them to make a move to finally face what they've been avoiding. Until they do, they will continue to feel this inner restlessness, this unshakable knowing that something is left unsaid, and when they do reach out, which they will, it may feel impulsive, almost out of nowhere. But understand that it's anything but random. They've likely rehearsed this moment in their mind countless times, debating whether to take that leap. They are nervous, not just about reaching out, but about how you will respond. Will you be open? Will you understand? Will you still see them the way they hope you do? If you are a highly intuitive person, a divine feminine energy who is spiritually attuned, you may already sense this shift happening. You might pick up on their emotions even before they say a word. Perhaps you felt a sudden wave of nervousness, a fleeting moment of longing that doesn't entirely feel like your own. That's because, on an energetic level, they are already reaching out to you. Their soul is calling out, hoping that you will be receptive when the time comes. When they finally open up, approach the conversation with an open heart. They are carrying a lot of fear of judgment, fear of being misunderstood, fear that it might be too late. But if you can hold space for them, truly listen, and allow them to speak from the depths of their heart, this moment has the potential to be transformative. Whatever they say, know that it is coming from a place of truth. It has taken them a great deal of courage to get to this point, and their emotions are raw and real. So be patient, be present, allow the conversation to unfold naturally. This is a pivotal moment for both of you, a chance for clarity, healing, and perhaps even a deeper connection than before. And if this resonates with you, trust that this message is meant for you at exactly the right time. The universe has a way of guiding us toward the answers we seek. Stay open, stay aware, And most importantly, stay true to yourself.